Now this is Eduardo Najera, known as Decrypt. 77k Instagram followers, 14k YouTube subs, teaching options trading. And I've never spoken to this guy ever in my life, but I just spent close to 5 hours building him a complete business infrastructure that could take him from his current estimated 30k to 50k a month coaching business to at least those 300k, 500k months. And I'm about to walk through every single detail. Now here is why I did this. Eduardo is in the perfect position right now. He's having this trading bootcamp series where he's taking complete options trader beginners to absolute intermediate or maybe pro. So he has a warm, engaged audience, and I can see exactly how he can capitalize on this momentum to at least 3 to 5x his coaching business by the end of this series. So Eduardo, if you're watching this entire breakdown is for you. And everyone else running a coaching consulting business, stay till the end because I guarantee this will help you out as well. Now let's get right into it. Now quick disclaimer, this video is for educational and entertainment purposes only. I'm not providing financial advice, and any revenue projections are estimates based on industry analysis. Now speed running through his current funnel analysis because I'm sure you guys can check him out online as well. But just to save you guys the time, YouTube has 14.4k subscribers, posting almost every other day, right? Views is averaging around those 1k to 5k views per video. His Instagram, on the other hand, is around 77.8k followers, which is a mix of talking head videos as well as some funny personality type of content, alongside with some stories, some highlights to nurture people as well. And his last active platform are TikTok, which has similar content to Instagram, averaging around those 1k to 5k views per TikTok. Now we're gonna go into the subtle problem in a little bit, but quick flow fixes that we can fix right away is first the CTA description, all right? So right now there's too many and they are too scattered, right? And we're going to show how to solve this as well going into this video. And last but not least, there is no unified landing page strategy. It is a little bit scattered, but again, we're going to show how to fix this as well. Now, current customer journey. How does Eduardo take people from complete unaware to nurturing them to the point of obsession and then wanting to buy from Eduardo is through this entire process. First phase is the discover phase. This is where he searched him through YouTube, or the viewers stumble across one of his content on YouTube Shorts or Instagram Shorts or even TikTok, right? This is where all the content comes in. After they stumbled across his content, the next part is the engagement, and this is where he nurtures most of his viewers for free, and it is through his free Discord community as well as the free YouTube videos. Especially right now, he has this bootcamp series, which is pretty interesting. Third is the multiple call to action points. It's through his YouTube playlist, which he funnels people from his TikTok or Instagram straight to YouTube to consume some of his videos. But then the YouTube description is where he calls his audience to either join the Discord or apply for the mentorship. Then moves down to the qualification stage, which he collects the leads of email, phone, as well as their name, and setters would probably call those leads up. It then ends with the conversion, which they land on a VSL page to book a call, or the setters does the calling if the lead opts in but does not book a call through this exact page structure. And if you're wondering what the current industry analysis for the conversion rate, it looks something like this. Content to link, content to YouTube. I guess YouTube video to description link click is around 2 to 3%. Link to form submission, page conversion, opt-in page conversion is around the 15 to 25% at best. Form to booking call is around 30% to 40%, and call close is estimated to be a 20 to 30%. So what are his current active offers? There are 2 or at least 3 specifically. First one is the primary offer, which is his one-on-one trading mentorship. Price range is estimated to be around the 3k to 5k price point. Monthly capacity probably take on 10 to 50 new clients per month, and revenue potential right now is estimated to be a 30k to at least 75k per month mentorship. Second offer is his monthly community on WAP, which costs around $100 per month, and current members is around maybe like 50 to 150, and monthly revenue probably around the 1k to 5k, maybe 15k price point. We're not sure, stuff are unverified yet, but there goes his third offer, which is the free resources that he gives out. We have the Discord community, we have his different ebooks, as well as the lead magnets, but they're not systematically monetized just yet. And we're going to show you how to systematically monetize this as well. And so with all of the 3 offers combined, the current monthly revenue estimate is going to be around the 35K to 50K per month mark. Could be less or could be more. Now, once we went through his customer journey and he went through the different offers that he has active, what are the different problems that we, at least ourselves, noticed that he could potentially fix is through these three simple problems, right? Number one is the scattered traffic flow, which means that there are multiple platforms, multiple call to actions within the description that creates decision paralysis from the viewers, because when there are too many decisions for the viewer to make, they simply don't know which one to make and they end up not making any. Number two is no single conversion optimized landing page. And three is audience might get lost between Discord, the different ebooks, as well as the mentorship application. They don't know where to go, right? And typically when there's too much to go, they typically opt for the cheaper option. Number two is there's less to no systematic nurture process, which is estimated to lose around 20% of the potential revenue. And what I mean by this is that let's look at some current metrics. So views that Eduardo gets per month is estimated to be around the 10K views from his YouTube videos. Given that 10% typically clicks the YouTube description and clicks through the opt-in page, around 10% would opt in, which lands us around the 1,000 people price point. From that 1,000 people, around 3% would convert into different customers, which leads us to the 30 people mark. And given with different low ticket offers, high ticket offer in place, the average order value might be somewhere around the lines of $1,200, which revenue comes down to at least $36,000. But what I mean by at least a 20% increase is if we just improve the CTR by 3%, a 3% increase from 10 to 13%, the visitors to offer page grows from 1,000 members to at least 300 visitors. That is 300 more. And given that the conversion rate stays the same, 3%, that is 9 more customers. And again, given that the average order value stays the same, this is an easy extra 10.8K added to the top line with one simple 3% increase from the CTR to offer page. So how do we increase that? We're going to go through it super soon. So as you can see, there is less to no email nurturing sequences to nurture leads that opted in but did not book a call. And there are quite a few missing automation for follow-up to bring leads into our ecosystem once again. And finally, the third is an inconsistent launch strategy, meaning we're solely relying on only organic reach without a systematic promotions. Two is that there is no recurring revenue events to create urgency or the momentum. And last but not least is there's a missing cohort-based selling opportunities to open up the window to the one-on-one mentorship where people can purchase right there and then. And then it's going to be closed up. But we're going to go through that in a little bit. And if you're wondering, it's going to be same infrastructure, same playbook that Iman runs, which he has personally done over $100 million in info product sales with 75% profit margins. Now, before we go into hosting the webinar, how do we get people to show up? How do we promote it without positioning Eduardo as this weird guru-ish, sales type of way? We're going to go into it right now. Now, this promotion strategy is shared by, Brady, who runs Jay Dun's trading program, right? They've done over like $1 million cash collected in like 30 days. So shout out to Brady. He's probably never met me, but shout out to him. But anyways, let's get into this. But that out of the way, let's get into this, right? Now what he does is a 90-day, warm-up plan. So we're going to basically copy the same exact structure, but add our own twist to it, right? So day 1 through day 7 is the preparation phase. Now this is where we launch the teaser, right? This is build the pre-wait list and tease that, hey, something big is coming from day 1 through day 7. That is preparation. But then now goes the actual launch day, which is a 14-day launch process. Day 1 through day 7, this is where we announce posts of the webinar on each and every single platform. Day 2 to 3, right? This is where we provide value plus post on a story that, hey, a webinar is coming up, join the waitlist, right? Day 4, maybe another YouTube video posting that, hey, why I'm hosting this free trading. This can be a teaser video, right? I guess the title doesn't have to be this direct, but you can take inspiration from this of why you're hosting this and why people should join. Day 5 to 6 is an Instagram post with student testimonials to show the social proof and to show that we actually know what we're talking about. Not only does we know what we're talking about, but we can actually get student results, because that's the most important thing. And day 7 is the final day reminder content. So what they did was that they host the workshop on the 7th day. And within this workshop, they do not pitch to book a call or to join the program, but instead, what this workshop does is to provide value and solely to provide value. Because on day 14, this is where the spots get open. So we're going to break down the strategy. Now let's go through our different tweak, right? Day 8 is where webinar registrations open. So we can implement this launch framework into Eduardo's campaign by the end of his bootcamp series as well. And for the story post, we have every single day, every step of the way documented out in an SOP, which is right here. All right. Now, alongside with some different tracking sheets from the sales department baseline, the scorecard, right, to know every single data from the sales department, all the way to, hey, if you want to run the webinar, each step of the process has been documented out. Now, this board might seem simple, this Notion board might seem simple, but there are a lot of sub-segments that goes in between crafting a webinar, for example, right? Or even the platform, the upsell, the downsell, the checkout flow, right? Even up here, right? There are a lot of sub-segments that goes in between this. Okay, so every step of the way has been documented, including even the offer, different resources, the market research, ICP, customer avatar, and everything that goes in between it. All the way to the clipping operations, from the hashtag to the music, monitoring each account and viewing how much views that each account has. Because one thing we also help with is not only the sales department, sales operation, but also their clipping operations, where we install clippers to clip out their existing YouTube content and repurpose them, right? And we've got some crazy results. I would probably pop up some results right here. Now, with that out of the way, let's get into the different strategies that he can use to at least 3 to 5x his current coaching business at the end of his bootcamp series. I've split this one into 2 different strategies. We're going to name them Strategy A and Strategy B. Let's go through Strategy A first. Now, Strategy A is a mid-ticket direct webinar sale. And what I mean by this direct webinar is that we're not going to position him as this sort of weird guru-ish, sales-ish type of way. But no. All right. So the title of the webinar can be as easy as, hey, this is the final 3-step option blueprint on how traders can generate consistent monthly income in 30 days or less, even if you have lost money before. And typically, a webinar structure looks something, lasts anywhere from 60 to 90 minutes. So we've put this as a 75-minute mark. 45 minutes can be content, and the last 30 minutes is the offer as well as a Q&A. And if webinars doesn't align with how Eduardo wants to run his coaching business, there are ways around this as well. So the webinar structure for Strategy A can look something as simple as this. Opening the webinar with, welcoming them with high energy, right? Show the credibility, keep the energy high, and then give them the promise, walk through the different agenda, right? Hey, today you will get the final 3-step system that I did not cover within the bootcamp series that he has on YouTube, right? Go through the different agenda overview and implement hook elements. And a simple hook element can look something like this. Hey, I'm gonna give away $500 to randomly 5 people that stays till the end of the webinar. Once you have that, people would stay on the webinar because they want to potentially win this $500. So a good tip as well is to sell the idea of why trading is probably, or options trading is probably the better business model compared to the other alternative out there. Then once we hook them in, the next section is where we go into the actual sauce. So content section 1 starts with, step 1, going through the foundation, boom, step 2, step 3, right? Not gonna go super in depth into this because personally not a trader myself, but we have worked with enough traders to understand the basics, right? Now content section 2 can be as simple as, hey, here is how you can grow or compound your profits consistently, or even teach the advanced strategies for those experienced traders that hop on the webinar. And again, a good practice on webinars, right, to, essentially thank people for showing up is to give them this free extra sheets, free extra mini tools. Could be a spreadsheet, could be whatever, but like a small gift to thank them for showing up, right? So now once we go through the opening, we hook them in, we give them the different value from section 1 all the way to content section 2. This is where we offer the presentation for them to potentially, work with us. And we call this the 60-day implementation plan. Now, this is where we monetize, all right? But not in a guru-ish way. Fulfillment of this 60-day plan, and I'm going to go through the price, what it entails and everything like that. But hang on tight, right? Weekly group calls. So once they join this 60-day implementation plan, which costs a little bit of investment, they get weekly group coaching calls with Eduardo. They get also the private access with daily maybe trade alerts and a complete options trading course or playbook with a potential 30-day money back guarantee if he wants to add this. So the price can be as simple as $997 for 2 months, or it can be split up into 3 payments or $497. And if needed, if you want to, add financing option. I mean, it's only $997. So if people cannot pay that, they might want to go to the $100 per month community. So this is how strategy A would play out. Now, with that being said, let's go into strategy B, which I would say is probably the perfect timing to host this strategy because he has the momentum from the bootcamp series that he's currently doing, right? Now, the title of this webinar can be as simple as Decrypt Summer Bootcamp Finale, which on the webinar, you're going to share probably the complete trading system that created my $1 million results. Some stuff that you haven't shared within your bootcamp to incentivize them to show up for this webinar. Now, if this webinar can be as simple as, 60 to 90 minutes. In this instances, we shared 90 minutes, right? 60 minutes content, and I'm about to go through what the content should be. And 15 minutes would be the offer application. Now, no price should be mentioned throughout this 15-minute process. And last 15 minutes can be put as a Q&A to handle objections, answer questions, and gain the trust from your audience. Again, all right? So webinar structure for strategy B. It might look simple as strategy A, but there are certain minor fixes, minor tweaks that we are about to go through. Opening section starts with the same high energy and starts with credibility. But then this is where it tweaks a little bit. Go over, the past X amount of weeks in the bootcamp series. You've probably seen pieces of my system, probably like 75% of my entire trading system. But today, I'm revealing the complete framework that ties everything that I've taught you within this bootcamp together. And again, throughout this all, you can also tease the biggest breakthroughs or the different, results, testimonials you've got from this entire bootcamp series. Maybe some students that texted you that say, hey, you changed my life from this. I appreciate you, right? This is so valuable. Screenshot that and it can be shared throughout here. And side note, this one might play an important role because you also want to sell the idea of why trading is the better business model compared to other alternatives. Then content section 1 and content section 2. This is where all of the content, all of the value comes into play, right? From the quick recap to how each piece connects to each other to, complete the whole system, plus live examples, right? And this one could be, hey, what you did not show within the bootcamp, right? Create the curiosity to make them stick throughout the entire webinar. And maybe even cover the psychological/mindset component that separates the winners, right? Even down to the risk management at scale for larger, more advanced traders as well, right? Because I think Eduardo has been trading for 9 years. Then after we go from the content section, value providing section, this is where we essentially can monetize it or, go for the ask without being this guru-ish, sales-ish type of way. So first starts with explaining what is included with one thing that you're about to open up, which is the mentorship, right? Emphasize that, hey, this is selective and each person have to go through an application process. And keep in mind, there should be no price that is mentioned throughout the entire webinar, right? Because enrollment details such as price will be discussed on our strategy call. Frame it as that way, okay? Then once you frame it as that way, during this section, prepare a U form or prepare a type form. And once you explain the offer, everything makes sense. This is where you dropped the link into the chat box, right? They can click the link, they can fill up the form, and they can apply for a strategy call to see if they qualify. Once they qualify, setter gets to work, closer gets to work, everybody gets to work, the cash collect and help out more students. So now, why is strategy B the perfect timing, right? Simple terms, because bootcamp audience is already warm up. But the more nuance of this is that they have consumed hours of Eduardo's content. They have seen his teaching style and they have seen his results, right? They are already invested in his journey or in their journey as well. So the bootcamp becomes the natural next step because those watchers, those viewers have the highest intent possible, right? They're actually serious about trading. And this creates the perfect transition from free series to paid mentorship, which create urgencies, right? Hey, the bootcamp is ending. What's next? I want to learn more from Eduardo. What's next? Okay. So with Strategy B's webinar, there could be a higher conversion potential because your warm audience typically converts around 3 to 5x higher than cold audiences. And because it is warm, because so many people has been warmed up already, we have the pricing power to charge premium prices that could be anywhere from those 4K price point to 6K price point. So all sales calls will be with pre-qualified and excited prospects, which will make the entire sales teams happy. And almost forget to add this, but if possible, add financing options as well to increase the cash collection rate if possible. And last but not least, after you go through the offer segment, go into the Q&A section to overcome the different objections as well as answer different questions that your audience have. Now, going to the little nerdy side, what does the expected revenue projections look like? If we were to be conservative, right? Every single metrics that we have laid out here is from a conservative point of view. Let's say we do strategy A, which is instead of selling high ticket, we sell mid ticket. What does the numbers look like, right? Let's say 500 to 800 people sign up to the webinar, and given a show up rate of 35%. So given this amount of people that sign up, with this percent of show up rate, it goes down to 175 to 280 attendees. And with those attendees, let's say the conversion rate on a webinar typically goes from 8% to 12%. This one is around the 14 to 34 sales. And with those 14 to 34 sales, given that we have a price point of 997 mid-ticket sales, this is an easy 14K to 34K webinar launch. Right. But on the other hand, let's say we were to go with strategy B, where instead of selling on the webinar, we paste the Typeform link, we paste the application link for them to book a call. This is what the numbers would look like. Given that 200 to 400 people sign up for the webinar, and because it is a warm audience, 60% plus show up rate, aim for that if possible, would go to around 120 to 240 attendees. And with those amount of attendees, let's say the application rate is around 15 to 25%. This goes to what? 18 to 60 people that click on the link that apply. And with those that apply, the call booking rate of those that submit the information, submit the application, would be around 70%, which leads to 13 to at least 42 booked calls. With those booked calls, given a close rate, typical close rate of 25 to 35%, will lead us with a 3 to 15 sale at least. And given that the price point is 4K to 6K each, this is an easy 12K to 90K launch. Now, I know the numbers might look a little bit nuanced, a little bit too in-depth. So how does the launch sequence look like? How often should we launch it, and through which phase should we essentially launch it, right? Now, phase 1, I do suggest Eduardo run this strategy B at the end of the bootcamp, right? Because we capitalize on the current bootcamp momentum, right? Target those high intent, warmed up audience already, because with those warm prospects, we have a higher revenue per attendee. If they're warm, they have been watching the bootcamp throughout the entire way, the quality of them just gets that much better. Right now, phase 2, after strategy B has been implemented and he wants to move away from those one-on-one mentorship, he can then go into this webinar strategy. So in the future, what does his optimized customer journey look like, given that he's implementing all of the strategies to scale his coaching business systematically, right? Let's start from the top, which is his content, right? Where does he get most of the eyeballs? Again, it stays the same, right? From YouTube, Instagram, as well as TikTok. Now, if there's one strategy I do recommend is to start a clipping team, right? To essentially clip up the existing YouTube videos like this one or like this one, or lifestyle content, and repurpose them on different short form platforms like YouTube Shorts, TikTok, or Instagram. So once we have content popping off, we have Eduardo going viral with clippers, with his content, with the bootcamp, etc., with the YouTube content, within the description, we only want one single landing page, view, which can be the VSL page or the webinar sign up page. And so the typical page, the typical sales page looks something like this, where we have the main headline, right? Who we are calling out, the sub headline right here, the VSL video to essentially have them book a call or sign up for the webinar, and then button to either book a call or sign up for the webinar again, right? Different social proof below, and then we voice out the different pain points that people have, right? More pain points, and then after we agitate the pain, we show them the solution that we have for them. And then again, buttons throughout the entire page. Now within the button, what should the qualification form look like, right? Implement type form or U form with a logic branching. And what does logic branching look like is that, hey, let's say you add a question to qualify people financially, right? And one of the question can be, hey, how much have you got saved up and you're willing to invest? If they say they have less than 1K, downsell them to the community, or have your logic form set up to the point where once they submit the form, they get redirected to the low ticket page. Now with the same question, if they say that they have at least 1K to 5K ready to invest in themselves and they have the intent to invest in themselves, they can then redirect it to schedule a call with the sales team. And once the call happens, setter hops on a call with them, make sure that they can show up to the closer's call, and then closers take the call and close them, right? Obviously, there are a ton of strategies that goes in between this to make sure the show up rate is good, right? And one strategy I'll throw in there as well is because Decred or Eduardo, he has this Discord group, right? What can the setter do after lead books a call is as simple as this. They can invite the lead that books a call into that Discord community, which then make sure the setter is also in the same Discord community as well as the closer. Make sure both of them are in the same Discord community. From then, you probably want to create a thread or create a channel specifically for the lead, right? So include the lead himself, Eduardo, right? Have the closer add Eduardo, add the closer as well as add the setter. What this one does is that it boosts up the show up rate even more because they know that Eduardo is in there, right? They probably don't want to give a bad face to Eduardo, right? The pressure is there. Then of course, when they show up, comes down to how high the intent is to invest in themselves as well as the closing rate for the closer, how dialed in the closer is. Now, for all the people that did not apply or did not, purchase his high ticket mentorship, this is how we can possibly nurture them, right? Either the Discord or we can send them to at least the low ticket community to continue nurturing them to hopefully one day they get upsold to the higher ticket, which Eduardo can help them even more. Now, putting all of these together, once we have this funnel in place, how does the content schedule look like and how does the conversion look like, right? We're going to go through this. Might look simple, but there are a ton of sauce to go through within this. Now, content, I do suggest let's do a 3-month launch period where month 1 to month 2, in terms of the content, is purely going to be education-based, right? Value-based, education-based. And throughout this phase, we're only going to publicize the low ticket community. So from this phase, we build up a ton of goodwill because the only content that we put out are value-based, personality-based to nurture the prospects, give them free value without expecting nothing in return. Now, once we have all of the momentum, we have all of the goodwill built up, we have all the pent-up demand, month 3 is where we, host this conversion event. Now, this conversion event is a specific time frame where the mentorship opens, but then closes on a specific time frame as well. Now, this conversion event could be challenges, could be webinars, or could be the typical VSL funnel, right? Now, if you were to go down the route of the webinar, since we're running around maybe 3 or 4 webinars per year, you can host webinars based on the current market condition, different seasonal strategies, skill level progression, or success story teams. Either one works well, right? AI just gave me all of these ideas. But putting them all together, month 1 to month 2 is where content plays the huge role. And then month 3 is where we convert all of those goodwill into potentially, paying clients, paying students, right? With this phase, since we're doing a 14-day launch strategy, maybe you can also implement ads throughout the entire process to gain more of the in-market buyers or retarget all of people that have used to interact with Eduardo's content, right? Have them sign up for the webinar. And obviously, team have to be dialed in to make sure leads are nurtured enough through the webinar. Leads are reminded enough before the webinar. Leads are good. Copywriters are dialed in when it comes to scripting the webinar and converting people, right? Because that's probably one of the most important things when it comes to a coaching business. So I hope this entire video was valuable to you. Now, with that being said, if you run a coaching info product business and you want to start or scale them with less to no sales teams and without being this weird guru-ish salesish type of way, click the first link in the description. And until then, ShennJhay out. I'll see you in the next video.